Hey guys, this is Nolan Handy. Miss Handy's son, she is out today, so I'm gonna be reading Ground Zero by Alan Gratz. He's one of my favorite authors. Also, Refugee, Allies, and Grenade. Those are also really good books. So I'm gonna be reading Ground Zero with you today, the first chapter, and it's called Brandon. And the first chapter is called How We Survive. Brandon Chavez was in trouble. He should have been in school this morning, taking a seat by the window and sharing a new skateboarding magazine with his friends. Instead, he sat next to his dad on a crowded subway train heading from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Brandon wasn't allowed to go to school today. He was suspended. Shoom! Brandon jumped as the train burst from its underground tunnel into full light of day for its climb to the Manhattan Bridge. It was a bright blue, clear September morning, and he squinted from the sun. Beside him, his father folded up the newspaper he'd been reading. "Okay, Brandon, when are we going to talk about this?" Brandon didn't want to talk about getting suspended. He didn't talk during dinner last night, or at breakfast this morning, or while he and his dad waited for the subway. Now Brandon could feel the silence, like an invisible thing that had squeezed in between them on the seat and was pushing them apart. His dad had turned to face him. Leo Chavez wasn't a big man, but he had a stocky chest and strong arms. Brandon thought he would have made a good professional wrestler. There was quiet power in his dad, and Brandon could feel that the power directed at him now. "I get a call at work from your school, and I'm thinking, is Brandon sick? Did he crack his head open again? Doing stunts on the playground?" His dad said, "But no, they're calling me to tell me that my son punched another kid in the nose." "He deserved it," Brandon said. All his anger, frustration from yesterday came flooding back as he turned to his father. "Cedric bought these Wolverine gloves to school, like the X-Men movie, and Stuart Pendleton stole them and wouldn't give them back. So he punched Stuart in the nose. He wasn't going to give them back. What was I supposed to do?" Brandon's dad sighed. "I don't know, Brandon. Talk to him. Tell the teacher or something." "Talk to him? You couldn't talk to a bully like Stuart Pendleton." And telling a teacher might have gotten Cedric his gloves back, but Stuart would have just beaten Brandon up for later for tattling. "You don't understand," Brandon told his dad. "I understand enough to know that punching wasn't the answer," his dad said. "And the principal told me that this other boy you were trying to help, his toy, got broken in the fight." Brandon brightened. He had planned to fix that part, at least. But before he could explain, his dad kept talking. "I had to leave for work early yesterday, Brandon. You know we can't afford me to miss any hours. Things are tight enough as they are." Brandon nodded and stared out the train window. That was why he was going into work with his dad. This morning, Brandon's father couldn't take a sick day, and there was nobody else to stay home and watch him. The Q train rattled up on the Manhattan Bridge, and Brandon saw the World Trade Center in the distance. It was hard to miss. The gray rectangular twin towers stood more than twice as tall, and the other skyscrapers around them. At the southern end of Manhattan, two towers were almost identical, except for the huge red and white antenna on the roof of the North Tower. That was where Brandon's dad worked. He was a kitchen manager at a restaurant called Windows on the World at the very top of the North Tower on the 107th floor. "Brandon, what do we say about us? About you and me?" his dad asked. Brandon gave the answer that had been drilled into him since his mother had died from cancer 5 years ago, when he was only 4. "We're a team," he said. "We're a team," his dad repeated. "That's what we've always said. This is how we survive, right? Together. It's only me and you against the world. But you shut me down on this one. And you let down the team." The disappointment in his father's voice was like a punch in the gut, and Brandon felt tears come to his eyes. It hurt way worse if his dad had just been mad at him. The train went underground, and the bright blue sky disappeared. After a quick transfer to our train, Brandon and his dad got off at their stop. They climbed to the subway stairs onto the underground mall to the World Trade Center Plaza. The mall was already packed by 8:15 a.m., with long breakfast lines in Audubon Pain and Coffee Station. Brandon trailed along behind his dad, lost in his thought. He wished he could have done a do-over, go back in time and make different decisions. But what if he could go back? What would he do differently? Stuart Pendleton deserved to get punched in the nose. "I still don't think I should have been suspended," Brandon told his dad as they cut through the bustling crowd by subway lines and the path train from the crowd, or from New Jersey, all stopped at stations below the mall, and 3 different exits lead up to Manhattan streets. So you think you just go around punching people like you don't like? His dad asked. Well, if they're bullies, yes, Brandon said. They turned and left the Warner Bros. Store with its big statues of Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. But he hardly noticed them today. There are rules, Brandon, his dad said as they headed for the escalators far at the end of the mall. You punch somebody, you get suspended, no matter why you did it. Your actions had to have consequences. If they didn't, you'd be a bully. Brandon couldn't believe what he was hearing. Him? A bully? That's what a bully is? His dad said. That's what a bully is, his dad said. Somebody who pushes people around and never gets in trouble for it. Brandon frowned, and he and his dad got onto this escalator. He wasn't the bully here. Stuart Pendleton was the bully. Brandon suddenly remembered his plan, the one for making things right with Cedric. They had passed the Sam Goody store, but Brandon knew there was no one here in the mall. He closed his eyes and went through the layout in his head, back down to the J. Crew store, then right past the Hallmark store, then the Bath and Body Works. Yes, that's where Sam Goody was, with his CDs and DVDs and toys. Toys like the Wolverine claws he had broken. Brandon patted the wad of dollars he stuffed in his pocket of jeans just before leaving home. While his dad was working at the restaurant on the top of the tower, Brandon would come downstairs, buy a pair of Wolverine claws for Cedric, and, whoa, look out! Brandon turned. A black man in a double-breasted suit with a shaved head and beard stood behind him on the escalator, trying to juggle for a briefcase full of a newspaper and a cardboard drink carrier, carrying these 3 streams of coffee. He was about to drop at least one thing, if not everything, and the drooping drink holder looked like he was about to be the first to go. Brandon caught the edge of the cardboard tray before it toppled over, and his dad quickly grabbed hold of the briefcase. Whew, thank you, businessman said. That almost turned into a very bad day for all of us. Brandon and his dad helped rearrange these things. They parted ways at the top of the escalator in the lobby of the North Tower in the World Trade Center. Brandon stood for a second and stared. He'd been here for many times before, but the size of the place always surprised him. The lobby was as wide as 4 tractor trailers parked to the end, and so tall you could stack them on 3 high and still not hit the ceiling. Up above, there was a wraparound mezzanine where a second floor would have been, leaving the space open and airy. Sunlight bounced off the windows and smaller buildings across the street and made the North Tower's lobby glow. Brandon's dad led him toward the reception desk, passing men and women of all colors and sizes, wearing suits and dresses and delivery uniforms as casual clothes. Brandon's dad had once told him that more than 25,000 people worked at the North Tower alone. Most of those people weren't here yet, but the lobby was still crowded. A security guard took Brandon's picture of his temporary ID badge, and Brandon waited for the machine to spit it out. I took him to the nurse's station, Brandon said. His dad frowned at him. Took who? To what nurse's station? Stuart Pendleton, Brandon said. The boy I hit. Brandon wanted his dad to understand he wasn't a bully. That he wasn't some mean kid who went around punching other people without feeling bad about it. Once I saw his nose was bleeding, I helped him up, and I took him to the nurse's station. Brandon's dad said, That's nice, Brandon. But did you ever stop to think that maybe you shouldn't have given the boy a bloody nose to begin with? Here you go, kid, the security guard said, handing Brandon his temporary ID card. Brandon stared at the picture of himself. Dark, messy hair, brown skin and high cheekbones like his dad. A slightly upturned nose and blue eyes like his mom. His name was Brandon Chavez. It was printed beneath the picture alongside with the date, September 11th, 2001. Come on, said Brandon's dad. Let's go upstairs. So that was the first chapter, that Brandon Chavez, his point of view. The second chapter, I'll read tomorrow, or if I have time today, I'll read it today. But I will post online. Please hit that subscribe button and like. Thank you.